and gentlemen, the most underrated superstar ever. When basketball fans talk about the greatest players of the last 20 years, the conversation usually starts with who, right? LeBron, KD, Stephen Curry, Kobe, Tim Duncan, you got Giannis, you got Jokic, you got Kawhi, you got all these people, right? And then you go into the second tier, right? And you talk about the James Hardens, the Russell Westbrooks, the Chris Pauls, the Damian Lillard, right? And somehow, none of you caught the name that I miss. Nobody caught one name that is missing from that conversation. DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan almost never comes up, which is absolutely crazy. Because if you actually look at the numbers instead of the narratives and the lore around him, DeMar DeRozan has quietly put together one of the greatest scoring careers in the NBA. He's never won MVP, never won a championship, never been the face of the league, yet he's climbed all the way to 16th on the NBA's all-time scoring list. Passing legends like, look, he's passed people, Oscar Robertson, Dominique Wilkins, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Larry Bird, Allen Iverson, Dwayne Wade, Charles Barkley, and Reggie Miller. And so today, let's break down why DeMar DeRozan may be the most underrated NBA star of his generation. And so the NBA has become obsessed with rings, right? If you don't have a championship, people assume that you were not great. But as we all know, as real basketball fans know, basketball isn't tennis, right? It's not tennis. It's not ping pong. It's not golf. Right? One player doesn't determine everything. Charles Barkley has no rings, mind you. Patrick Ewing has no rings, mind you. Steve Nash, Allen Iverson. Does anyone question their greatness? Yet DeMar DeRozan gets treated differently. And why is that? Because DeMar DeRozan's career happened quietly, right? It happened in the shadows. No viral highlights every night. No crazy trash talk. No flashy personality, no controversial interviews, no super team. He simply showed up, scored 20 plus, and went home. And he was in Canada. So let's appreciate what DeMar DeRozan has actually accomplished. He scored over 26,700 career points, ranking him 16th all time. Think about everyone he's passed, right? As we won't over it, but think about everybody he's passed. The Oscar Robinsons, the Dominique Wilkins, the Garnetts, the Pierce, the Bird, the Allen, the Reggie Miller. These aren't just good players. These are Hall of Famers. And DeMar DeRozan kept climbing because of something fans often overlooked. And what is that? That, my friend, is what we call consistency. Not explosive peaks, consistency. For well over a decade, he averaged around 20 points every season, adapting his game as the league changed, right? He also became just the sixth player in NBA history to average at least 20 points across 12 consecutive qualifying seasons. That level of sustained excellence is incredibly rare. And so another thing is basketball did change around DeMar DeRozan, right? Everyone started shooting threes. Analytics told players, layups, free throws, three-pointers. If you shoot something else, you are not playing. DeMar DeRozan basically said, no thank you. And instead, he perfected the hardest shot in basketball. That mid-range jumper, that fadeaway, that turnaround, the pump fakes, the footwork. He became one of the last true masters of an art that many players have abandoned. It's almost like watching Kobe Bryant in a different era. Not because he's Kobe, but because he valued craftsmanship over efficiency trends, right? While everyone else followed the spreadsheet, DeRozan mastered a skill almost nobody else wanted to learn. And so where things get interesting is when you compare him to players of the past, right? NBA greats. When you compare him to guys like Carmelo Anthony, Carmelo was viewed as a much bigger superstar. But statistically, their careers aren't nearly as far apart as the public perception would suggest, right? Both are elite isolation scorers. Both are incredible with the mid-range. Neither won a championship as the primary option. And yet, Melo is often discussed as an all-time great scorer, while DeMar DeRozan is often left out. And then you compare him to the truth, to one Paul Pierce. He is a championship, a finals MVP. That's the biggest difference, right? But DeRozan has now surpassed Pierce in career scoring. Without that Celtics title, would people rank Pierce dramatically higher? maybe not, right? Sometimes one championship changes an entire legacy. And then you have Jimmy Buckets, his reputation is a legendary playoff performer, right? DeRozan is not in that level as far as the playoffs go, right? That's fair criticism. But over an entire career, DeRozan has been the more productive regular season scorer year after year. Jimmy had higher playoff peaks, but DeMar had a greater long-term offensive consistency. Both deserve respect for different reasons. And then you have one Dame Lillard. Everybody knows Dame Lillard. It's Dame time right now. Lillard has deeper playoff moments, long-range shooting, iconic buzzer beaters, but DeMar DeRozan has quietly matched him in career longevity and climbed into the all-time scoring neighborhood as Dame Lillard. Different styles, different paths, similar greatness. And so when you compare him to athletes, not even in the NBA, right? Every sport has someone like a DeMar DeRozan, someone whose greatness gets overlooked because they weren't flashy enough. When you look at baseball, you have a Adrian, right? Never the loudest player, never the face of the MLB, but when he retired, everyone realized, hold up, this guy had over 3,000 hits, nearly 500 home runs, an unbelievable career. People appreciated more after he was gone, and that's exactly what's going to happen with DeMar DeRozan. And then when you look in the NFL, Frank Gore, never the fastest, never the most exciting, but every season, 1,000 yards. Another season, 1,000 yards. Another season, 1,000 yards. Another productive year. Eventually, second all-time in rushing, right? Longevity became his power, exactly like DeMar DeRozan. And then you have the Toronto narrative. This is probably the biggest reason his career is underrated, right? LeBron James, every single year, Toronto would build a contender. Not even a contender. They would build a team strictly to stop one LeBron James. And then LeBron would eliminate them. Eventually, the Raptors traded DeRozan, got Kawhi Leonard, won a championship, and suddenly fans rewrote history. People act like DeRozan had always been the problem. But basketball is not that simple, as we know. Kawhi was phenomenal, but the roster also matured and circumstances changed, right? Reducing everything to replace DeMar with Kawhi and win a title ignores how much he built in Toronto before that moment. Without DeRozan, there probably isn't a championship foundation. And then it's more than statistics. One thing DeRozan deserves more credit for is mental health, right? Before athletes openly discussed depression, before it became common, DeMar spoke publicly about his own struggles, right? And that changed sports. He helped normalize conversations that many players had been afraid to have. Sometimes a player's legacy isn't measured only by points. Sometimes it's measured by courage. And so, does DeMar DeRozan have a Hall of Fame case? Let's look at his career, right? Because he has six All-Star appearances, multiple All-NBA selections, more than 26,000 career points, over 5,000 rebounds, over 5,000 assists. One of only 13 players in NBA history with at least 25,000 points, 5,000 rebounds, 5,000 assists. That puts him alongside names like LeBron, Kareem, Kobe, Jordan, KD, Harden, Westbrook, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, and Karl Malone. That isn't just Hall of Very Good, that is Hall of Fame territory. And so, history has a funny way of correcting itself, right? Players who are overlooked during their careers often become appreciated years and years and years later. It happened with Adrian, it happened with Frank Gore, it happened with Dirk Nowitzki before he won a championship, and it's probably going to happen to DeMar DeRozan, right? Years from now, fans are going to pull up the all-time scoring list. They're going to see DeMar DeRozan sitting alongside basketball royalty, and they're going to ask the same questions we're asking today. Hold on a second. Why didn't people appreciate this guy more while he was still playing? And that's because greatness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes greatness shows up, scores 25 points, and goes home. And keep climbing history one bucket at a time.